Two, one. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hunt Club podcast. We have a product briefing today specifically about brand monitoring by the MDR team. I am joined today by Renaud and Eric from the MDR team. Would you guys like to introduce yourself, introduce your roles, and let everyone know you say hello?
Yeah, Eric Martin, Senior Emerging Technology and Automation Engineer. So I primarily focus on automating our tasks, right? Taking all the information and helping it move through. Also do a little bit aid Renaud in threat hunting, but largely getting the data, moving it all around and making life easier for other people on the team.
Amazing. And Renaud, we had you featured before on a podcast, but just to briefly reintroduce yourself here.
Yeah, hello, Zoey. Yeah, I'm doing threat hunting. That's all.
that's all. Very casual.
Renaud is humble as always. Doing a lot of threat hunting and very good at it is what I would say.
Yeah. Don't downplay it. Threat hunting is just not, that's it. Okay, awesome. We're just gonna move forward here. We're gonna talk about brand monitoring today. And I think there's a couple of things that I've learned about brand monitoring while here at Vectra. And I think it's very, very important to do that as a company. So we have statistics here. Renaud and Eric, do you wanna have just a conversation about why brand monitoring is important based off of these stats?
You want to take it first, Renaud, or you want me to?
Yeah, I can. We basically, threat hunting is when the security product stops. So these metrics, these percentage are revealing that you can be compromised if you don't look at logs, but logs in a general term, okay? So yeah, happening at every moment of an intrusion, we can do some threat hunting and discovering threats before or the security product happened. It happened this week, and we are investigating why. So that's why we are doing threat hunting.
Yeah, right. So as Renaud was saying, right, it's something failed, right? Our protections failed and something's happening. However, though, there's that gray area where we haven't gotten to detection yet, right? So protection has failed and detection hasn't triggered yet. So now we're looking in, and then really what we're doing is we're trying to shift left in the timeline to figure out, right? It's that signal hasn't gotten so high yet, right? And so it's okay, now we're starting to wade into the noise, which is a good thing, right? Because now we can fine tune it, and we're looking at that and saying, okay, I have this hypothesis. What is going there? We're also doing, as you can see here, we're looking in the dark web, right? And that's as we go up the maturity curve. Just jumping off into the dark web is going to be so much noise. It's not going to help you, and that's where Vectra, the MXDR offering, is great because we're looking in there. We are sifting through that data, right? We're aggregating it from multiple places and we're looking at it. And then on top of that, one thing that we're doing for threat hunting is it's all about actionable alerts, right? So, hey, we found a file, right? One time when we were looking at threat hunting, we're constantly tuning our algorithms and our processes. We found something that was actually for Vectra. We found something that was TLP white, right? It was Hitesh was talking about the magic quadrant, right? And so part of the threat intel was, hey, Hitesh death is in the news. You have to look at this, and it was marked as high. Well, that's not high, right? That's something that we want to be explaining. So we're not going to bring that to a customer. Whereas, hey, this computer has Luma Stealer on it. Okay, that's now something this is something that we want to bring to your attention. Look at this, and then we'll pivot into the Vectra platform. Is this machine behaving badly? Who's this machine talking to? What access does this machine have? And now we can do a lot of that legwork for you, and then, wrap that up into an escalation and push that up to the team, push that up to, customers so they can take a look at that more.
Absolutely. And I just want to kind of double click on just back to the statistics a little bit, these are really high statistics. Things are happening here. Attackers are, really leveraging like that, like you mentioned, that gray area to infiltrate modern networks here, and it's happening at a very rapid pace. So I think brand monitoring, I don't hear much about it, and maybe it's just because I'm in an echo chamber, but I think it's quite important and needs to be talked about more. You mentioned a cycle, you mentioned a timeline, and then we actually have a visual here on the attack life cycle, attack timeline, and how our brand reputation services actually fit in that. Do either of you want to kind of just walk us through that here?
Renaud, you want to start off with that one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's the life cycle attack from the kill chain mostly, but if we are contextualizing brand monitoring in this, you the well-known phrase like you can't defend what you don't know. How do you react if one of your third party, a supplier, your supply chain has been compromised with data related to you? Examining ransomware exfiltrated files can give you really good, yeah, feedback about what impacted you. And if you don't know it, you have a problem. Like the precedent example Eric told was there is an information stealer on the dark web. If you don't know it, if you don't monitor it, someone will probably use it. If they
Absolutely.
have active session cookie with active session, that's game over. You have access. Uh,
Hmm.
Referring to a recent example, Citrix Bleed is a good example. You have Citrix and you have a vulnerability on it. People have, or nation states are probably on the box for months or years, and now everyone can get cookies giving you direct access. I think the threat hunting and the brand monitoring is really prevention, like active preventions, active
Yep.
defenses, but before something is happening. If you are looking in it, it's you make chances to find something. If you don't look at it, yeah, no issue.
Yeah, we're I mean, it's probably the best way I can say it, right? I mean, I think the only thing I can add in is there's other ones too, where, what you don't know can hurt you, right? But the
Exactly.
problem is there's just so much information though. It's, I say it all the time. It's infosec. Is a lot of this stuff is just drinking to the fire hose, drinking out of the fire hose, right?
Yeah.
It's that fidelity. It's just that we have an additional guest on the podcast today.
We have a guest. This is Beak, everyone. Sorry, continue, please.
It's okay. Um, yeah, it's that fidelity, right? And that's really where, you can look for it, and we're looking at those things constantly, right? And where attackers using automation, right? Attackers are in there posting it, calling the channels, looking for things, automatically hitting everything. And so if you're not using automation to find these things, you're already, 2 steps back.
Absolutely, Eric. Absolutely. I agree. Just want to add something that we talked about knowledge and automation. Attackers and the numbers we saw in the first slide are just showing the impact of that. They have more and more knowledge and they are more automatizing things. And we are doing the same, like it's the yin and yang part, everyone is using the same tools. We just have to do it. And if you do not have any brand monitoring at a wider spectrum, you are probably missing some things and the impact will be dramatic. So because we find some things every day, we can say that we are covering this part. So knowledge and automation is really a key, I think.
Yeah. One thing that really comes up too, I was just thinking about it with what you're talking about also is, and maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit on it, but the typo squatting domains monitoring, right? So one thing that we're doing is, we've seen some ones where every day we're looking at domains that might be kind of twisting your domain, right? So it might be like, so for us, it's Vectra.ai. Right. So maybe it's like vec.tra.ai, right? And so now somebody
Mm-hmm.
grabbing that domain, and we've seen ones that are definitely look imminent of an attack where the first thing I'm going to do as an attacker is I'm going to set up my infrastructure, right? And a lot of people filter domains that have been registered, right? You just filter off the bat, don't block all the domains that have been registered for less than 90 days, right? You know, that's the way we do attackers. So, okay, so attackers now register a domain and they don't launch the attack until 180 days, right? They just kind of let it sit there
Mm.
and fall off that list. But in that time, though, they're getting their infrastructure built out, they're doing things. And
I
so
see.
with brain mining, when we're looking at this, it's writing the weaponization, right? Right. They're setting it up there. So they do the recon, they figure out who you are, they make the page look exactly correct. And then they set up those domains. Well, we're finding that now, and we can come in right off the bat and say, hey, we've been keeping an eye on these 7,000 typo squatting variations on your domain.
Mm-hmm.
And today, one of them got stood up, and it's, bulletproof hosting is who's handling it. So this is a known bad host. You know, we should probably have a conversation about this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're kind of touching a little bit on how the MDR team actually does the process of brand monitoring, and I kind of skipped ahead here, but here,
Sorry.
this is
Yeah.
our little flow chart here of how the team takes the information that customers give, so corporate domains, executive names, and proactively and reactively monitors and protects and responds to potential attackers here. So Eric and Renaud, can you kind of just talk me through this flow chart a little bit so I can understand it better?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start off first if you don't mind, Renaud.
Mhm.
Um, so when we come in, right? So onboarding, your security specialist is there. We're sending you out a questionnaire, right? Your onboarding document with things. And we've already started in parallel, we've already started looking at it, right? So one of the things that we're doing is we're looking at all of your email addresses that you have. We're figuring out domains. We know some executives, and we're starting to build those groups for you right there. We're building them in the MDR in the Vectra platform. They're there, so they're always watch lists. It's always looking at that stuff, protecting you there. And then we're also on our back end constantly looking for changes, like I was just saying, right? Where new domains are registered, different things happen with high profile employees, C-level, C-suite, et cetera. So we're looking for those things. And if any of those things happen, you're going to get a detection one way or the other. The other thing that it also helps provide is it helps provide context, right? So now you have, so before it was, a host went out here, right? Somebody's doing a phishing link, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you have a C2 detection. Well, now they have a C2 detection, and they also, a couple minutes before that, went to one of those typo squatting domains,
Mm.
right? So now all of a sudden, now that just raises that threat there, right? Where we're looking for various things, how that's all going, right? Where we're searching through your logs, like Renaud was saying, right? We're searching through different domains in the various threat feeds, and then we're coming out there. A couple of things that we do need your help with are honey tokens, right? We don't know what the honey tokens are, so
Right.
so just to make sure we're all on the same page here, honey tokens are those credentials, those host names, those database fields, tables that no one should be touching, right? That's your canary in the coal mine. That's your
Mm-hmm.
really juicy honeypot thing that, Eric Underbar admin, right? I never use the Eric Underbar admin thing. And if somebody went for that thing and I see a login from there, that's okay. Nobody should be touching this thing, right? Nobody should be touching
Mm-hmm.
this host. Yeah, we're getting through there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely see that proactive reactive piece right there, working all together. Renaud, do you have anything to add to the flow here, to the workflow of our MXDR team?
Honey tokens are really interesting because they are just when they scream, you have to take attention. They have to be attractive, they have to be interesting for an attacker. It's what I said, it's prevention. Like typo squatting is preventing you from things. Bonnet tokens is preventing you when someone is inside your organizations, maybe in the middle of an exploitation. High profile accounts can prevent to being hacked. Monitoring domains, investigating network metadata can prevent you to have bad times. Leaked credentials have to be reviewed. And sometimes we do not find so interesting things. Sometimes we are, but they have to be reviewed. It's the knowledge, it's the automation, and it's the, I would say, the professionalization. Like it's a job and everyone is doing exactly his job. Like attackers are doing their job. We must do them from our side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What can I
absolutely.
comment more? I can comment more on that one. The type of alerts is really explicit. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just want to highlight at the very end here, we're reporting on what we find from the brand monitoring perspective here, and also, obviously escalating it to the customer so response can be taken or response actions can be taken. So I think it just like has that full like life cycle of like, okay, we're seeing something that's going wrong. We're going to validate it with context and stuff like that. We're going to maybe get a detection alert, and we're going to close that out by making sure that, we stop the attacker from continuing further with whatever it is that they're doing, typo squatting or trying to infiltrate the environment, right? So just wanted to highlight that at the very end of this flow chart, there is a conclusion. We're not just like, oh, this happened and then just leave it as is. But yeah, just wanted to highlight that. Okay, moving on to the last piece here. We've had brand monitoring as a feature of our MXDR service for maybe like over 6 months now. And so far, I think we're doing quite well. Eric and Renaud, do you want to speak upon some of the stats shown on the screen here?
Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah. I mean, we're looking through, right? We're getting, and this kind of goes to fidelity, right? So when we say one potential credential leak identified per customer per day on average, we're getting potential in there that's a good thing, right? This is all about that fidelity of we are not an alert farm, right? We are not just sending out, hey, we saw 85 things, you should take a look at these things. We are really digging into these, seeing if these things are real. And then if there's, if we have a reasonable threshold, right, a reasonable suspicion that this is a credential leak, then we're talking to you about that, right? We're looking, like I said, on the regular, we are just looking at variations of your domains. We have had multiple ones where you can just see the subdomain dot just moving through it, right? So it's like, vec.trud.networks.com, and you're just like, oh, and then 8 more different variations are coming through, and all of a sudden 10 of them today are now active from the same DNS. Well, that's that's definitely a problem. We're looking on Telegram, right? Where we're looking for we're looking for things, and then we're sending out. We actually just sent out one today, right? Where we're sending out, and then we're taking actions where we can, right? And then when we can't take an action, what we're doing is we're sending you what the best practices are, right? So, one thing we were just saying is we had what might be a active session takeover, and so we sent out this morning, right? And it's really important. Make sure to reset the password, then kill the session, because a lot of people will do one or both, or you do it out of order. And if you're doing it out of order, now what happens is attackers are still there, right? There's that race condition where an attacker can sneak in. So, we're sending out the best practices. We're sending along as much information as we can. That way, when you get woken up at 3 a.m, 5 a.m, whatnot, right? You look at your phone, you see this, you're out, you see this thing. It's not just here's information, it's actionable. Here's what we see. Here's the 30-second pitch. Here's what you need to do about it. And then here's a whole bunch of backgrounds. Now you can educate up, down, and all around in your organization.
Absolutely. Renaud, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, the use cases are also identified on document leaks and credential leaks. It's not the same when someone has an active session inside your organization or if you are just a leak of information. Depending on the analysis, you have to understand the assessed impact. Sometimes most of the time it speaks to you, and sometimes it don't. So we are prioritizing things. Yeah. When we come at an escalation or notification, we have enough material to not just notify you and deal with the next steps. No, we try to be at your place. I want to notify someone if I will be at his place. Sometimes I'm thinking about, okay, I have this information. If I escalate to someone, if I would receive it at the customer's place, what am I going to do with that? Nothing. So I don't escalate them. So that's the really important thing. And it's once again, it's yes, it's talking about escalating the crown jewels, the good things we can find. And we had some major things happening in the past month. So yeah, that's interesting to know that it's giving really big results at some points, and it helped. Yeah, is it useful, as Eric said previously? Is it useful?
Awesome. Okay, I think that's all the time that we have for this session here. Any last thoughts, the both of you, on brand monitoring in general, or our brand monitoring service?
I mean, I think just reiterating, I always say, right, if you're not using automation to catch these things, you are just going to be left behind, right? And really with using AI the way that we're doing it, right? It's that nice confluence. It's that nice intersection of AI and automation, and then also humans in the pilot seat who know what they're doing, kind of orchestrating that all and doing it is really just the best way to have protection. That's just the best protection you can have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, can say better.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you both so much for your time in discussing this. I think it was quite an interesting conversation, and I think that we can obviously expand this more in other sessions and other podcasts. So hopefully you guys will join me in another one. If you guys haven't checked out the rest of our, you guys as in the audience, if you guys haven't checked out the rest of our podcast, we have some really awesome conversations with amazing and intelligent folks like these two. So please subscribe, please check us out. If you have any comments, we love to hear from our audience. So thank you so much, you guys both, for your time, and we'll see you next time in the next Cut Club podcast. All right.
Thanks, Zoey.
Bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.